So today I've done nothing. I've done fucking nothing. And my mum and my brother have been working all day. They're both exhausted. And I'm just wallowing in my own self-pity and misery. Fun. I can't create anything. I feel like there's just not even a writer's block, there's just this fear, and I guess that is a part of writer's block, the fear to actually make something. But for me, it's just a fear of putting something behind me that I've been working on for probably nearly 2 years at this point. The thought of letting that go is kind of fucking terrifying, because that's been my life for months, and I don't know. It's like finishing a good series, a good TV show that you're watching. When you finished with it, you kind of just get that empty feeling of well, what's next? And there'll always be that feeling. There'll always be something next. But that's my problem. I can't move on. I can't move on to the next thing because this bullshit perfectionist attitude that thinks something needs to be perfect. Otherwise, I can't show other people. Otherwise, it's not legitimate. You can't compete with the music that I'm listening to. It's not as clean. The mix isn't right. There's always something that's putting me off, and that's the reason why I haven't made anything for the best part of a year and a half, because I feel like I'm just trapped in this cycle of making something I think is incredible, writing what I think is the best song I've ever written in my life, only to run into a wall where I just tweak things constantly until it loses any semblance of what it used to be. And it sucks, that magic, that special part of whatever made it great in the first place. I think some rough edges are supposed to be left alone. If you sand everything down and polish everything, it's eventually going to sound like everything else. And I don't want to sound like everybody else. I want to be unique. I want to be a special fucking snowflake. So I overthink everything. I go over the same line a million times, kind of second guessing myself and assuming what people are going to think. Is this line too artsy or pretentious? Should it be more straightforward? Should I water it down for the masses so more people understand it? Or should I just keep it personal? There's so many questions that have to be asked in the creative process, and anything artistic, probably. I can only speak from my own experience, but when it comes to music, it's just a constant push forward. Even if you're bored out of your mind of what you're listening to, you need to keep pushing forward, otherwise it doesn't get finished. And this goes double and triple for if you're producing, mixing, mastering, recording, doing every step along the way. It's a slow fucking process. And sometimes it's so tedious that I just break down. And I feel like I'll never release anything again because of this mindset. And probably the worst thing about it is there's not many people who I can talk to. This is why I'm fucking recording a phone memo, because I don't know anybody who can really relate to this. I'm sure there is somebody out there, but not in my close circle of friends, at least. Or maybe they do understand. Maybe I'm just being pretentious. Maybe I'm just being a cunt, and I need to suck it up, and I need to realise that nothing great is ever made without struggle. But sometimes it does just make you want to fucking quit. Regarding the things that are supposed to help somebody with a perfectionist mentality, like setting deadlines, organising things, scheduling, and just paying attention to dates and getting things done on time, regardless of whether they're ready or not. I tried to mark it on my calendar, but no matter how many times I mark it on my calendar, no matter how many alarms I set, I just find myself ignoring them, saying it will always be there tomorrow. I can always do it tomorrow. The music is going nowhere. But by the time I'm ready to work on anything, I get stuck. And I don't know how to move forward, because it's been so long since I touched any of those projects that I lost where I was up to. I didn't know what direction I wanted to take the song in, and I just get wound up by it. It's like a constant conversation between past me and future me. And future me is always pissed off at past me because nothing is ever noted down or made obvious. Future me is always the one who has to go in and analytically organise their everything and pick things apart. And that's around the time where I get sick of hearing something over and over again, which leads me to just completely abandoning things. Videos, video essays, music video ideas, songs, artwork. Like, it all just gets boring to me. And if I'm not having fun doing it, then what's the point? Isn't that why we make anything? Because we enjoy doing it, not to please anybody, just to please ourselves. If you're making art for somebody else, then is it really yours? And if you're making art just for yourself, then why even publish it? Why even show anyone? But then that line of questioning goes even deeper. Why even create anything? Why do artists exist? The fuck is the point?
So that was a voice memo that I recorded about 2 weeks ago. And over this last week or so, I've realised a few things. I realise now that the struggle to finish things is something that just about every creative will go through at some point in their life. Some of my favourite pieces of media have had extremely turbulent and grueling production cycles. Take something like the Half-Life games, for example. A franchise that has completely changed the way that people look at video games and what they can actually be. A game that's inspired so many others. Without Half-Life, we would have no Counter-Strike, no Gmod, and the hundreds of different game modes that are included there. We would have no Source Filmmaker, which has been an entry point for animators and artists of all kinds to get their foot in the door in that kind of work. Yet so much content was stripped out of the final retail release. You don't have to look any further than videos exploring the Half-Life 2 beta. It looked like an entirely different game, and some people would even go as far as to say it would have been a better game, but these games are still legendary, and not only as video games, as just a piece of media, a piece of storytelling. They've transcended the medium that they're in. And so much of that work that was put into it, entire levels, characters, voice lines, enemies, just completely cut because the developers were able to make those seemingly impossible decisions to kill their babies, essentially, to completely remove the things that they'd spent months working on. But almost every great artist that has ever existed will have an archive of unfinished work that spans across their entire career. Films, games, albums, paintings, so much potential that goes untapped and unappreciated. It's not good enough, it's not ready, it's done when it's done are things I was telling myself on a daily basis. Because God forbid that some rough edges are left unsanded, as if the imperfections are something to be avoided rather than embraced. For a long time now, I've struggled to look back on the things I've made in the past, in fear of finding something I don't agree with anymore, as if the cringe will just be too much to handle. But the thing is, we should cringe at the past. It shows growth, it shows that you're able to change. But I can say for certain that perfectionism is an unrealistic work ethic. It kills creativity. And I'm going to do everything in my power to be kinder to myself. Because in hindsight, I don't regret the cringy, over-edited COD montages or the Let's Plays copying bigger YouTubers or any of the trends that I followed in the hopes to be accepted. Because without those things, I'd have no form of reference for the things that I am proud of today.